Let's fail together. This time, let's make an acrylic marker drawing. So this is part of a series that I'm doing where I'm trying out new mediums or mediums I'm just not really that comfortable with or familiar with, and trying a new project with them and seeing what happens. This series is all about kind of embracing the mess along the way, not trying to necessarily make something that's perfect, but try something new and just have fun with the process. And so working with acrylic markers, I'm going to kind of share my experience with creating this composition. All I can say is it was quite different than what I'm used to with acrylic paints, since you're not really mixing them. Here are the materials that I used for this particular project. So I used acid-free watercolor paper, which I used for previous watercolor, as well as the Shuttle Art acrylic paint markers. And so this set comes in a carrying case that has 3 different tiers. I only focused on using 2 of them since I didn't really need any blues or purples for this. However, I do love blue, so in the future I'm looking forward to using those more. And then also some color swatches to test those colors out. I started off with doing a sketch of the flower, just because in the past it's kind of given me a bit of a headache when I haven't planned out what I'm doing and I just kind of jump in without thinking. So I wanted to map out where the flower was going to go exactly, kind of sketching it out, trying to get the shape in there as best I could. But then I ended up erasing this sketch a bit so then it wouldn't shine through that much if I was using lighter paint, just because I wasn't too sure how opaque this paint was going to be, but it turned out to work pretty well. And so I started off using some warm colors as well as the light colors for the petals. This particular flower has stripy red petals, so I was adding in some pink for the highlights, and then I would add in the red a little bit later, as you can see there. And then I jumped around in the background, blocking out the green. There wasn't a whole lot of reason behind my madness for where I was putting the greens. I was just kind of jumping around a bit, and then later on I was a little more specific about how I approached the colors for the background. And then I continued to add layers on the flower itself, adding in some orange highlights to those petals, as well as continuing to add in a little bit of yellow and a little bit of pinks too. And then continuing to block out the color in the background. I'm someone that, for whatever reason, I have a need to cover the entire support when I'm working on something. And here I am grabbing another green. And I think for future reference, I might want to explore not really trying to cover the entire support. I mean, I've done a previous piece in this series where I didn't cover the entire support, and I think it would be good to kind of focus on that a little bit more. Do things that I'm not really comfortable with, because that's the whole point of this series. And then here I am continuing to block out the greens, trying to add some shapes so they seem a little leafier. And then I was using a black marker to kind of outline things a little bit more. You can see here I'm adding in some of the highlights, but for the final piece, there we go, you'll see the dark outlines I used to really bring everything together. And I thought that the medium worked really well. I didn't run into any issues of the colors getting muddied or anything. It was pretty quick drying, which was super helpful, so I feel like as a whole it was very forgiving of any time I made mistakes because it was easy enough to layer on top of those mistakes. So I absolutely loved working with these. I thought it was so much fun. I really enjoyed the process. I loved working with these distinct marks that I could make. Working with layers was an experience. It was not what I'm used to. When I think of acrylics, I think of mixing paint. And it was something completely different, a different way of kind of training my mind when working with acrylics, but I absolutely loved the process, and I can't wait to make more with this medium.